Your Excellency, Sheikh Abdullah bin Saud Al Thani, Governor of the Central Bank of Qatar, Your Excellency, Sheikh Fahad bin Mohammed bin Jaber Al Thani, Chairman of Doha Bank, Your Excellency, Sheikh Abdurrahman bin Mohammed bin Jaber Al Thani, the Managing Director of Doha Bank, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests from JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure and privilege for me to be integral part of this interesting evening. Exactly a year before, Doha Bank, in its vision to disseminate knowledge sharing when the global crisis was blowing up the world, we did a session called Global Financial Crisis and Market Opportunities. It was our own governor who highlighted us how financial stability can bring in sustainable growth and prosperity for the real economies. That was the message he gave, and clearly today Qatar is a telling story. The world is changing. We must change with it. The world is changing on account of the globalization. World is changing on account of the deregulation. World is changing on account of the technology and consumerism. Financial economies are converting into real economies. Real economies are redefining in substance and forms. Communism has taken its different shape. Capitalism is altercating. Mixed economies are prosperous. Countries, continents, corporates, individuals who are real are going to be sustainable performers. That's what the telling story is all about. The toxic assets which transcended borders, infected world over. We have seen the financial crisis truly reflecting as human crisis. That's what today the world is all about. This crisis is speculated whether it is over or still enduring. The option is for us to see through. The world has gone through extraordinary vibration after 1930 depression. We have seen regulators are redefining the role and responsibilities. We have seen customers are concerned about the changing prospects. We have seen financial institutions are redefining the model in terms of moral, ethical governance. Corporate social responsibility and governance truly redefining the space. Global governance in real order is articulating new solutions. The accounting models are getting redefined. The valuation methods are altercating. Global institutions, apex bodies, whether it's World Bank or IMF, today is completely redoing their business model. World at large is redefining. That's the change we are talking about. The change has come in multiple forms. Let's look at last 1 year. Exactly a year before, we were talking about a financial stability forum in real order. The public-private partnership model was created in the midst of all of us, Qatar as a prudent governance. The governor is going to elucidate in detailed terms what are the initiatives in terms of liquidity, in terms of financial stability, in terms of investment support, in terms of real estate, in multiple form and substance, how exactly the sustainability in real respects was brought in for the financial institution in this great governance. It's not confined to one single country. It's not confined to one single region. It's not confined to one single continent. Today, that is world over, true reflection of change. This change is real. This change is inevitable. We have seen financial markets, whether it's bond market, capital market, or currency market, is getting redefined. This change has brought in new opportunities. This change is speculating in some form and substance, but reality remains the world at large is dictating a new world order. That's what we have learned. Look at the carnage, even today's market conditions. In spite of the fact we are all insulated in terms of macroeconomic fundamentals, we are not isolated from the global crisis. Stock markets are falling in spite of the very strong macroeconomic fundamentals. We live in an interconnected world. As I said, we live in a globalized world. Currency market. Before the crisis, dollar was weakening. During the crisis, dollar index was strengthening. Alternates were talked about. Delinking was talked about. Revaluation of dollar was talked about. Today, it's a telling story for us to realize there's no substitute for the dollar as a single reserve currencies. Look at the convergence in Europe in terms of political as well as economic momentum. Greece today is redefining the landscape of Europe. It's not confined to Greece alone. We have Portugal, we have Spain, we have Italy, name it. World at large is questioning the wisdom of the convergence, wisdom of the fiscal prudence, wisdom of the monetary prudence, diversity in real respects of culture as well as political and economic convergence is being contemplated, whether it could be an option. We need answers. We need lessons to learn. Today, Gulf economies are contemplating very similar move. Gulf Monetary Council being represented by our own governor. What he has got in store, he is going to share it across. It's not confined to financial market alone. Stock market was a carnage way back in 2009. Again, countries which has got real economic momentum have survived the crisis. The market has recovered, said to be recovered on account of quantitative easing on the money supply. Printing money has supplemented additional energy in terms of liquidity. The cash flow was transcending borders. Today, the emerging economies are incrementally adding. Advanced economies, industrialized nations are diving nose, reflecting contraction in 2009, 2010 is supposed to be a positive momentum. Has it happened? Still a big question. There are measurable, manageable, controllable variables are within us. There are supervening events which could not be quantified by any of the economic pundits are to be managed as well. How do you do it? How do you measure it? How do you make sure your business model, you as a businessman, with the changing face of the world, changing face of financial service, changing face of your own business, how you're going to realign? We have seen a couple of days before, US government has passed new financial reforms. What do you call Paul Volcker's new rules? What does it mean in real reflection in terms of proprietary trading? What does it mean in terms of investment market? What does it mean in terms of over-the-counter derivatives? What does it mean to bailout? What does it mean to bankruptcy? Enormous amount of interrogation within yourself. You need to ask yourself, where does it lead us? Where does it take us? Where does it drive us to see what sort of vision and prudence we need for sustainable performance? What is important is to recognize the change from the customer perspective, recognize the change from a regulatory perspective, recognize the change from the market perspective, recognize the perspective in real terms for a new social order. Today, doing business is not confined to one single individual, one single corporate, one single market, one single continent, one single world. One single world is the right answer. We are living in a world which is full of interconnectivity. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is shrinking. The world is becoming one. Countries and continents are diverse in nature, but we are becoming one. You need universal standards. You need universal valuations. You need universal measurements. You need accounting models which needs to have consistency in principles as well as substance. This is the kind of change we are witnessing. This change has got very many opportunities. The change has got very many challenges in its own form and substance. That's what the purpose of Doha Bank calling this session. That's what the purpose for which we are here today. I am glad to say that I have economic pundits, including the governor of par excellence. He is a governor in every single form and substance. Throughout this crisis, we had a privilege of interfacing. This is a public-private partnership model. That's what Qatar in its own governs. Apart from the fact it is sustainable performer over the last 10 years, the budget has been a telling story. Fiscal prudence is a telling story. Monetary policy is a prudent story. Social progression is a telling story. Telling story in every single governance form and substance. Our governor has taken enormous amount of composure and calmness to deliver the core values to bring this financial stability. I clearly recollect way back in 2008 when we came from Washington meets, how he facilitated liquidity through special drawing rights for all the financial institutions. Again, investment support when the market was crashing 40%. First 2 months, how the support came, we all know. What does it mean in terms of risk profile? What does it mean in terms of profitability? What does it mean in terms of liquidity? We know as bankers. Clearly, the stress test was promulgated by US government in May 2009. Our governor was insisting right from 2008 onwards, consecutive over 2 years, we have been doing it. Here's what our governor is all about, our interface is all about, his initiatives in the last 1 year is all about.